1 year ago, James Gunn had the perfect start. Superman hit theaters, fans loved it, and the new DCU looked unstoppable. Then Supergirl happened. A $170 million movie that's on pace to lose the studio somewhere between $125 and $200 million. A second weekend box office drop so brutal it got beaten by a low-budget George Washington movie. And now, insiders are saying the next DC director could walk before he even signs on. So today we're asking the question everyone in Hollywood is quietly asking: is James Gunn's DCU already in crisis? Just 2 movies in? Let's break down exactly what happened, and what it means for everything DC has planned next. The numbers are brutal. Let's start with the box office, because the story here is bad. Supergirl opened to just $37.1 million domestically and $62.6 million globally. Numbers that immediately put it below expectations for a $170 million production. Add in a marketing spend of roughly $120 million. And industry analysts are now estimating the film could lose the studio somewhere between $125 and $200 million once all the dust settles. But the opening weekend wasn't even the worst part. In its second weekend, Supergirl collapsed by a staggering 74 to 76%, one of the worst second weekend drops in modern superhero movie history. That drop was so severe, the film actually lost the box office battle to a small, patriotic indie film called Young Washington, running out a fraction of the budget. To make matters worse, Warner Bros. Announced Supergirl will hit digital streaming on July 28th, just 32 days after its theatrical release. That's notable because James Gunn had previously said future DC movies wouldn't rush to streaming the way Superman did. That promise didn't last 2 movies. The studio knew before it even released. Here's where the story gets even more interesting, because according to reporting from The Hollywood Reporter, DC Studios knew Supergirl wasn't working months before it hit theaters. Back in March, the studio ran test screenings pitting its own cut of the film against a competing cut from director Craig Gillespie. Normally, test scores improve the closer a film gets to release. Instead, the scores for Supergirl actually went down. This mattered more than usual because Supergirl was a major proving ground for the new DCU. It was the first DC Studios film not directed by Gunn himself, meaning it needed to show the franchise could succeed without him personally behind the camera. Instead, it became the opposite kind of case study. Peter Safran, DC Studios co-head, addressed the bomb directly, telling the New York Times that despite falling short of expectations, Supergirl is just one piece of a broader, long-term strategy the studio remains confident in. But that kind of public reassurance after an opening weekend flop is rare, and it says a lot about how seriously the studio is treating the fallout. Is James Gunn's job actually at risk? This is the part fans are most divided on. Reporting from Cosmic Book News, citing sources at The Wrap, suggests DC's slate currently has no clear plan going forward. Their next confirmed priority is reportedly a Bane and Deathstroke project, one that doesn't even have a director or cast attached yet. There are also claims that Matt Reeves, the director behind The Batman, has expressed concerns about how Gunn is handling access to the Batman character across the DCU. And insiders allege the studio doesn't have a clear creative direction for Wonder Woman either, despite her being set to appear in Man of Tomorrow. Now, it's worth being clear here. These are industry reports and insider claims, not official statements from Gunn or Warner Bros. Gunn and Safran's contracts reportedly run through either the end of 2026 or 2027, and as of right now, both remain in charge of the DCU. But when multiple outlets are independently reporting the same concerns, a directionless slate, director hesitant to sign on, and no clear plan past the next couple of years, that's usually a sign something real is happening behind the scenes. What's actually still coming? So does this mean the DCU is doomed? Not necessarily, and here's why. DC still has 2 major releases that could completely change this narrative. First is Clayface, a smaller, horror-focused film centered on the Batman villain, arriving October 23, 2026. Because it's a modestly budgeted film, it doesn't need Supergirl-sized numbers to be considered a win, and a strong reception here could immediately shift the conversation. Then there's the much bigger swing, Man of Tomorrow, which Gunn himself is directing, slated for July 2027. This is widely seen as the true test. If this film underperforms too, the pressure on Gunn's leadership will intensify significantly. There's also Lanterns, DC's TV series arriving in August, which insiders describe as the studio's chance to hand itself a positive headline right as the Supergirl story continues to develop. The real comparison fans are making. Here's the comparison that's been spreading online, and it's a sharp one. Critics are accusing Gunn and Safran of greenlighting what they're calling Phase 5 projects in Phase 1, building out secondary, lesser-known characters before the franchise has fully established its biggest ones. It's a direct callback to Marvel's own struggles in recent years, when overexpansion across Disney Plus shows and lesser-known characters was widely blamed for diluting the MCU's quality and audience trust. Whether that comparison is fair or not, it's clearly resonating with fans right now, and it puts real pressure on Man of Tomorrow to prove the strategy still works. So where does this leave the DCU? Right now, it's not collapsing, but it is at a genuine turning point. One more underwhelming release, and the conversation could shift from rough patch to reboot. If Clayface performs well this October, expect the narrative to cool off fast. If it doesn't, all eyes go straight to Man of Tomorrow next summer.